Our main character spent 20 years trapped in another world fighting monsters to save it. After finally making his way back to Earth, he discovers the world he missed so much is now facing its own monster crisis. But can he survive what comes next? Our story begins in a world consumed by fire and destruction. A lone hero stands on a burning battlefield, his voice steady and determined. It has been 20 years since he left Earth and found himself trapped in this nightmare world. Flames erupt from his weapon as he solidifies his resolve to end this suffering. Today is the day he will defeat the monster and save this world so he can finally go home. With that final declaration, he dashes forward in a blur of motion, moving faster than the eye can follow. A massive explosion rocks the entire battlefield, the sheer force of the impact sending shock waves through the air and shaking the ground beneath everyone's feet. From the dust and smoke, a menacing silhouette with glowing red eyes emerges, a terrifying aura surrounding it like a dark cloud. A great winged demon stands amidst the rubble, looking down on its opponent with a mocking tone. The demon speaks with arrogance dripping from every word. You endured that too, truly befitting of a hero. The demon continues its taunt, gesturing toward the hero's exhausted companions. That being said, your companions are barely hanging on. The scene pans to show the hero's party, the saintess, the mage, and the knight all panting and exhausted from the intense battle. Their bodies are covered in cuts and bruises, their energy nearly spent. The hero Lee Hyun-sak appears, spear in hand, and looking completely unfazed by the demon's words. His expression is calm and determined, showing no fear. He retorts coolly, his voice steady and strong. Really, now? You don't look so hot yourself. His words are simple but they carry weight, challenging the demon's confidence. Enraged by the hero's insolence, the demon roars with fury, its voice shaking the battlefield. How insolent! The demon gathers a ball of dark energy in its hand, the power crackling and swirling with dangerous intensity. Lee Hyun-sak's eyes glint with determination as he prepares to face the incoming attack. His body tenses, ready to move at a moment's notice. With incredible speed, the hero charges forward, his spear glowing with power. He deflects the demon's assault with a powerful swing of his spear, the impact sending sparks flying into the air. The companions are shown trapped and struggling against a powerful force, letting out a pained grunt as they fight to stay alive. The demon, crackling with dark purple lightning, bellows in fury, its voice echoing across the battlefield. If you won't submit, I'll tear you to pieces. The demon unleashes a devastating wave of energy, screaming with rage. This land is a kingdom forged by my teeth and claws. As Lee Hyun-sak braces for the impact, a close-up shows his determined face as he endures the full force of the demon's attack. The demon's magic explodes in a chaotic blast of purple and black energy, consuming everything in its path. Lee Hyun-sak tightens his grip on the shaft of his spear, preparing to retaliate with everything he has. Flames of immense power erupt around the hero as he gathers his energy for a final decisive blow. His body glows with golden light as he channels all his strength into this one moment. Let's end this, he declares, his voice filled with resolve and finality. A brilliant explosion of golden light signifies the hero unleashing his ultimate skill, a power he has trained for 20 years to perfect. Gritting his teeth, Lee Hyun-sak pushes his attack forward, channeling all his power into his spear. His power manifests as a blinding flash of white and yellow light, consuming everything in its path and turning the battlefield into a sea of radiance. Lee Hyun-sak stands ready to strike, his body wreathed in the brilliant flames of his signature technique, Paradox Flame. The black and red flames dance around him like a living thing, responding to his will. The hero's fiery attack smashes against the demon, creating a violent clash of opposing energies that shakes the very air. Bracing for the final push, he stomps his foot firmly onto the ground, creating a powerful shock wave that ripples outward. The ground itself erupts with a massive beam of energy, striking the target and causing a cataclysmic explosion that engulfs the entire battlefield. In the midst of the clash, the monster and the hero lock eyes, both resolute and unyielding. The ground shatters and burns, bearing the scars of the immense power that was just unleashed. The monster is thrown back by the force of the blast, while Lee Hyun-sak stands firm against the shock wave, his feet planted solidly on the ground. The monster's clawed hand emerges from the chaos, seemingly untouched by the hero's initial assault. Lee Hyun-sak is seen being pushed back, his body glowing with red energy as he resists the immense pressure. He digs his heels in, grunting with effort as he struggles to hold his ground against the monster's overwhelming power. The monster scoffs at the hero's effort, its voice dripping with arrogance and contempt. An attack that soft won't leave even a scratch. The monster's confidence seems unshakable, as if it believes itself truly invincible. Lee Hyen-sak clenches his fist, a smirk playing on his lips as a new determination fills his eyes. Soft, you say? In a flash, he brings his spear, now burning with the paradox flame, right up to the monster's face. Staring directly into the monster's eyes, he declares with cold certainty. It's more than enough to cut down that arrogance of yours. The black and red flames of the paradox flame begin to spread across the monster's body, consuming it like an unstoppable force. A piece of the monster's golden headpiece breaks off and clatters to the ground, defeated by the strange fire. The monster looks down in shock as the inextinguishable flames begin to consume its very being. In disbelief, the monster mutters, its voice filled with confusion and fear. To think there was a human in this world who could stand against me. Lee Hyen-sak stands tall and corrects the beast, his voice steady and unwavering. Let me say this again. I'm not from this world. The monster seems to accept its end, beginning a final monologue as the flames consume more of its body. You're spouting nonsense until the very end. Well, it doesn't matter. I may fall like this now, but my body will be absorbed into the land. And one day, the monster's speech cuts off as its eyes widen in sudden dawning horror. It realizes something is terribly wrong. As the monster silently questions if it is being erased from existence, Lee Hyen-sak voices its fear, explaining what is happening. You're having trouble regenerating, aren't you? He explains the nature of his power with cold certainty. As the flames intensify, this black flame burning you is my special ability, which I've named the Paradox Flame. Unlike normal flames that burn using oxygen, it uses abstract concepts as fuel. The monster realizes the finality of its doom as Lee Hyen-sak continues his explanation. Resurrecting yourself for centuries was your hobby, but that's over now. Because what is burning right now is your very existence. Realizing the finality of its doom, the monster unleashes a final parting curse, its voice filled with desperation and rage. Does this mean my time here is at an end? Though I may be erased from this place, you will never be remembered as the hero who saved the world. The monster reveals a shocking truth that shakes the hero to his core. Because those people you believe to be your companions are actually just waiting for you to die here. In the background, the Saintess, Mage, and Knight look on with their faces pale with shock and fear. They cannot deny the monster's words. Lee Hyen-sak replies with a calm, unwavering certainty that surprises everyone. I know. The monster can only react in disbelief, its voice trembling. You knew. The Saintess rushes to do damage control, pleading desperately. Sir Hero, you mustn't believe the words of a monster. But Lee Hyen-sak begins to expose their treachery, his voice cold and steady. Should I start with the Saintess? That woman claimed to love me, seducing me every day, but in truth, she despises me to death for being an outsider. The Saintess's face contorts in pure terror as the hero continues to reveal her true intentions. Her attempts at seduction were all part of a plan. He continues to spell out the Saintess's plan with brutal honesty. So that when the time comes to purge the hero after the subjugation is over, I would hesitate to attack her. He looks directly at the stunned Saintess whose face is frozen in fear. Saintess, am I wrong? He asks, his voice cold and unforgiving. Lee Hyen-sak turns his attention away from her, moving on to the others. The other two are the same, he states flatly, his tone leaving no room for argument. He moves on to the Knight, exposing his motives with the same brutal honesty. The Knight, in order to eliminate me after I killed the monster, received a national treasure from the Emperor. The Knight grits his teeth, his inner thoughts revealing the truth of his betrayal. That cowardly Emperor made a petty move, afraid I'd take his throne. Out loud, he can only ask in shock, how did you know that? Next, Lee Hyen-sak points out the mage's resentment, his gaze piercing. The mage, who loves human experimentation, seems to hate me simply because I oppose the slavery system. The old mage glares, his face twisted in anger and shame. With a chilling finality, Lee Hyen-sak reveals the full extent of his awareness. In short, the fact that they would kill me after your death is something I've known for the past 5 years. From within the flames, the dying monster speaks, its voice filled with confusion and wonder. I do not understand, O hero. It continues, its tone shifting to something almost respectful. With the power you used to corner me, you could have easily destroyed this world that turned its blades against you. Lee Hyen-sak looks on with a weary expression, finally revealing his true motivation. I didn't do that because I wanted to go home. The concept is utterly foreign to the monster who can only echo in disbelief. You want to go home? The scene shifts, taking us back in time to reveal the hero's past. 20 years ago, in the year 2005 on Earth, the hero's narration begins, showing his past self as a normal office worker. I was an ordinary 30-year-old office worker until I was led by a being named a goddess and transported to another world. The goddess's voice rings out, her tone commanding and urgent. Chosen hero, please save this world from the monsters. The hero reflects on his situation, his voice filled with bitter realization. You know, there are plenty of stories like that, tales of an ordinary person succeeding in another world, but the reality was a nightmare. However, the other world I arrived in was a disaster in and of itself. All around him are scenes of death and destruction with people screaming desperately. Kayak, please save me. He explains his desperation to leave this nightmare. I tried every method imaginable to return to Earth, but there was only one way. That one way was the goddess's mission. Defeat the monsters and save the world. He walks through a frozen wasteland, past the corpse of a monster, his face hardened by years of suffering. And so, for 20 years, I trained to fight against the monsters. In a memory, town guards block his path, their faces cold and uncaring. Even if you are the hero, you can't just go off on your own, one says, while the other points and exclaims. That thing in your hands? A younger Lee Hyun-sak holds a frail, rescued child, pleading with the guards desperately. I rescued a child from the village. Let me in. The guards are heartless, their words cutting like knives. Ha, it's obviously about to die. You should have just left it. One sneers, while the other adds with cruel indifference. What a waste of medicine. Lee Hyun-sak narrates, his voice heavy with the weight of memories. This alternate world, which chose to abandon the wounded rather than rescue them, was unbelievably cruel. But the cruelty didn't end there. But the more serious problem was, as a man's agonizing scream fills the air. A GHHH. The narration explains the grim reality of this world's medical practices. The medieval levels of medicine and hygiene. A man is held down as a crude doctor prepares to amputate his infected limb, yelling with urgency. Hold him down. We have to cut it off before the infection spreads further. Lee Hyun-sak recalls the horrible scenes with a haunted expression. They're amputating his leg for a simple infection. All the healers are mobilized for battle, so there's no one to treat the wounded. As he looks on with a hardened expression, someone calls out to him. Sir Hero. Another memory surfaces, this one even worse and more disturbing. A group of religious fanatics are burning people at the stake, their faces twisted with zealous conviction. A woman asks him desperately. That child was captured by monsters. How did you manage to get them back? But as the hero narrates, something even more horrifying was happening. One of the fanatics, a priestess, explains their horrific logic with cold certainty. It seems the child survived because a demon has taken root within it. We shall exorcise the demon ourselves. We happen to be in the middle of exorcising a few right now. Anyway, the priestess challenges his morality, her voice dripping with false piety. Surely you wouldn't go against the will of the gods, Sir Hero. Lee Hyun-sak thinks to himself with disgust. These disgusting otherworlders with no concept of human rights. The priestess finishes, her words like poison. If you wish for salvation, you must cast aside such useless pity. The long, painful flashback concludes as we return to the present moment. And so after enduring for 20 years, his quest finally complete. Lee Hyun-sak screams towards the heavens, his voice filled with desperation and hope. I've completed the mission I was given. Keep your promise. A pillar of divine light descends from the blood-red sky, bathing the hero and his former companions in its glow. The light intensifies, solidifying into a radiant presence on the battlefield. A beautiful winged being with long golden hair appears, her presence commanding and ethereal. The goddess. She smiles gently and says, her voice warm but with an edge of something else. You have endured much, Sir Hero. Through your arduous efforts, you have defeated the monster. Ignoring her praise, Lee Hyun-sak points his spear at her and gets straight to the point, his tone sharp and demanding. Hey, goddess, you remember, don't you, that once I caught the monster, all the experiences and memories I had here, and even my soul would be perfectly preserved. He finishes his demand, his voice brooking no argument. And you'd send me back to Earth. The goddess simply smiles back at him, her expression unreadable. The goddess questions his choice, her tone suggesting she finds his decision strange. Do you truly not like this world? Even though you've gained enough power to be a threat to me, she gestures to the world below. If you return to Earth, all the achievements of hero Lee Hyun-sak will be void. Lee Hyun-sak lets out a short, humorless laugh, completely unimpressed by her words. He calls her out, seeing through her facade with clarity. Cut it with the act. You're just relieved I'm leaving as promised. He adds knowingly, his voice filled with understanding. This world no longer has a need for a monster after all. Her smile fades, replaced by a somber expression as she asks one last time. Will you truly not regret this? He drops his spear, the weapon that saw him through 20 years of hell. There is only one thing I desire, to return to the world I once knew. The spear clatters to the ground, a final definitive end to his life as a hero. That is all. The goddess concedes, her voice resigned. Very well. Lee Hyun-sak breathes a sigh of relief, thinking to himself with immense satisfaction. This god-forsaken otherworld. As his hand begins to dematerialize, he finishes his thought with finality. Is finally behind me. Engulfed by the pillar of light, he begins his journey home. But the goddess adds a final condition, her voice echoing. Because your physical body has already perished on earth, she continues. I will place your soul into a new vessel. He asks, his voice filled with uncertainty. Whose body am I going into? The goddess cryptically explains, her tone suggesting this is something he must discover himself. I cannot explain in detail, but it is a body fated for a wretched end. However, I am certain you will be able to survive. His soul, now a being of pure light, accepts the terms without a second thought. As long as I can return to Earth, I don't care if I end up with a body with an unsavory fate. No matter how difficult and harsh a fate I may face. With his final thought, he leaves the fantasy world behind forever. It will surely be better than what I experienced here. With a soft pop, his consciousness arrives in its new vessel. He opens his eyes, finding himself in a simple modern bedroom. He thinks, am I back? The scene is set on Earth in the year 2025. The soul of hero Lee Hyun-sak has entered the body of a civilian named Yukins. He sits up clenching his fist as a wave of resentment washes over him. Those rotten otherworld bastards. He thinks to himself with bitter satisfaction. It's nice that I won't have to see those traitors. When he suddenly catches his reflection. A mirror. He stares at the unfamiliar young face in the mirror, touching it with a sense of wonder and finality. So, you're me from now on. Leaning against the mirror, the reality of it all finally hits him. I'm really back on Earth. He rushes to the bathroom and turns on the faucet, splashing the clean water on his face with pure joy. Water, clean water, uncontaminated water, he exclaims with tears in his eyes. This is real magic. To hell with all you mages. Next, he discovers the gas stove, marveling at the instant flame. Fire with just the press of a button. No more of that damn wood chopping and fire. He finds a takeout box and the delicious smell alone is enough to make him ecstatic. Yes, this is what I missed. He opens the box and stares in disbelief at the golden crispy contents. This? Don't tell me this is chicken. With trembling hands and wide eyes, he picks up a piece of fried chicken. About to experience a taste he hasn't had in 20 years, he sits quietly on the floor, taking a bite and savoring the moment. He holds the chicken aloft like a sacred treasure overcome with emotion. It's so good. It brings tears to my eyes. Yes, this is what real food tastes like. Tears of joy and relief stream down his face as he thinks. I miss this so much. All of this. Looking out the window at the city skyline where a strange red pillar of light glows in the distance, he finally feels at peace. Finally, I can live a normal life. He processes his new reality. First, I need to adapt to the Earth of now. What? It's already 2025. So the other world's time flowed accordingly to this world. Well, it doesn't matter. With a determined gaze fixed on the city, he accepts his future, whatever it may hold. No matter how difficult and hard it is to adjust, it wouldn't be more horrifying than the other world. The story continues as the scene opens with a shower running, the water streaming down. Yukin stands under the shower, a blissful expression on his face as he enjoys the feeling of hot water that pours down without having to wait. He then enjoys the cold air from an air conditioner. A luxury that comes out with just the push of a button. Looking out at the clear, bright sky over the city, he thinks to himself. This is it. This is nothing like that nasty another world. A memory of a horrifying monster flashes through his mind as he contemplates his new life in the year 2025. He wonders, what should I do first? Maybe I'll start with StarCraft. The traumatic memory makes him jump back in fear, letting out a scream. Suddenly, his panic is interrupted by a building-wide announcement. Ahum! Ahum! An announcement for all residents. The speaker crackles, leaving Yukins to wonder. What is this? The announcement declares that a corrosion rift has appeared within the apartment complex. Yukins drops to the floor in shock, exclaiming, "What a corrosion rift! What the hell is that?" The announcement urges all residents to evacuate to the underground shelter immediately. Utterly bewildered, Yukins can only think, what in the world is going on? His eyes, glowing gold, dart around now on high alert. To his horror, he sees humanoid monsters with white masks and dark hairy bodies crawling up the walls towards him, laughing maniacally. The sharp claw of a monster scrapes against the glass, signaling their imminent breach. The scene shifts to an empty dark stairwell. The only viable escape route. Yukins bolts down the stairs as the monsters burst in right behind him. As he flees, he desperately wonders, what are they? With the creatures swarming after him, his mind races. What the hell is happening on Earth? The horde of monsters continues its relentless pursuit down the concrete stairs. Thinking fast, Yukins leaps out of a window in the stairwell to escape. He cautiously peeks out from his hiding spot, breathing a sigh of relief. Phew! I finally lost them. His relief is short-lived as he spots a small chubby boy with a bowl cut running nearby. A kid, he thinks, while the boy seeing him thinks, oh, it's a person. Yukins tries to warn him. It's dangerous here. Hurry to the shelter. But the boy Yunong casually asks, hey mister, did you see where the monster went? Yukins is stunned into silence, only managing a confused, what? Yunong confidently declares, I'm going to go kill it. You want to come too? Completely floored, Yukins asks, what did you say? His world is turned upside down as he processes a devastating thought. They say Earth has been like this for 13 years now. Damn it. Yukins finds himself reluctantly following the boy. As he thinks, he insisted he wouldn't go to the shelter, and I couldn't just leave him by himself. And just like that, I ended up tagging along with this kid. Yunong cheerfully adds, there are corrosion rifts even older than me. Trying to make sense of this bizarre new reality, Yukins looks down at the boy and begins to formulate a question in his mind. So, if I'm understanding you correctly, Yunong explains that a corrosion rift is an exit that monsters come out of and nobody knows why they form or when and where they'll appear. As an image of a horrifying entity flashes in his mind, Yukins confirms. Yeah, that's right. An intense anger surfaces in Yukins' thoughts. Ha! I went through that living hell to come back to Earth, only to find out that this place has become a hellhole, too. Isn't this too much, you damned goddess? Yunong turns to him, puzzled. But wait, how come you don't know any of this? Caught off guard, Yukins quickly lies. Huh? Oh, well, I was living in America for a while. The boy retorts. What? How'd you manage that? The US president got impeached for trying to secretly send his daughter to Korea. I saw on YouTube you can't come to Korea from there. Yukins is left speechless. Wondering. Just what is he talking about now? Trying to change the subject, Yukins stammers. Well, actually, anyway, that hunter you like, who was it again? The boy's mood instantly brightens as he shouts. Lewin. Yunong excitedly explains that she's in the Janabi Guild, ranked 10th on Earth, and her main weapon is a great sword. As he speaks, an image of the hunter Lee Son battling a giant monster appears. Relieved, Yukins thinks. Phew. I changed the subject naturally enough. But Yukins is still troubled. He thinks. But still a normal human fighting a monster just like that world I came from. How is that even possible? Yunong adds. I especially like her cool greatsword. Meanwhile, Yukins seems to have come to a realization. The boy's excitement grows. There's a must-see Lee Son video. I'll show it to you on YouTube too. Before Yukins quickly claps a hand over his mouth. Yukins curses under his breath. Damn it. As he holds the confused boy tightly, he has spotted more trouble ahead. His internal monologue is grim. Monsters, a lot of them. His battle-honed senses kick in as he analyzes the threat. The exact number is 5. No, with the one hiding, there are 6 in total. He assesses his new body's capabilities. Thankfully, this body seems to have above average strength. I'm used to fighting multiple enemies, so that shouldn't be a problem. But Yunong trembles in fear behind him. He looks down at the terrified child who is now crying. What should I do with this kid? If I leave him alone, something bad will definitely happen to him. Where did his determination to kill monsters go? He considers his options, thinking. Without a proper weapon, what am I supposed to? When he notices a faint blue glow around his hand. As he stands protectively in front of Yunong, he feels a familiar energy swirling in the air around the monsters. Wait, this stuff in the air? Could it be mana? The blue energy becomes more distinct, confirming his suspicion. I'm sure of it. It's the same as what I saw in that world. In that case, as one of the monsters lunges forward, a mysterious dark purple flame suddenly appears on its face. The monster lets out a piercing shriek. As the flames begin to consume it, Yukins feels the mana in the air gathering around him. He thinks, the mana I built up for 20 years is gone. But if there's mana in the air, it means I can still use the paradox flame that's engraved on my soul. A confident smirk spreads across his face as he adds. The firepower is a little disappointing, but with a powerful gesture, he unleashes his paradox flame, engulfing the monsters in a vortex of dark energy. This should be more than enough. Yunong watches completely starstruck and yells, Mister, that was amazing. Yunong with stars in his eyes says, to be honest, I was a little skeptical since you didn't know anything but to think you have a unique skill. Yukins awkwardly pats the boy's head, thinking, so they call it a unique skill here? And replies, haha, I'm just glad you're not hurt. Suddenly, Yunong remembers a tip from a video. Oh, right. On the official Hunter Academy YouTube channel, they said confirming the kill is important. He starts to run towards the disintegrated remains. Panicked, Yukins shouts, wait. Yukins' eyes narrow as he focuses on his power, his mind flashing back to its nature. The flames of the paradox flame don't go out until the target is dead. He explains internally that his flames are relentless, showing a monster being completely consumed within the dark purple blaze. A brilliant flash of light signals the complete and utter annihilation of the creatures, leaving no trace behind. He turns to the still shocked Yunong, whose eyes are wide with disbelief. Kiddo, he begins. A brutal image of a bloody hand crushing a monster's core flashes, illustrating the grim reality of battle. He continues. I don't know what YouTube is, but you should probably stop watching it. He stands over the boy, who has fallen to the ground in awe, the dark remnants of the paradox flame still swirling behind him. The scene flashes back to an earlier confrontation. Yukins asks a startled Yunong, can I borrow that staff you're holding? To which the boy can only utter, ah. Yunong nervously hands over the wooden staff, saying, here. Immediately, a monster with a white mask lunges at them. In what appears to be a different location or a different fight, Yukins and Yunong find themselves surrounded by a swarm of the same masked creatures. Yukins' eyes narrow with focus, a golden glint of determination shining within them. With lightning speed, he swings the staff, creating a blur of motion as he begins his assault. He moves with practiced ease, a whirlwind of motion as he single-handedly takes on the entire group of monsters. His body a blur of dodges and powerful strikes. Yunong can only watch his mouth agape in pure unadulterated shock at the display of skill. Yunong stammers in amazement. Amazing mister, are you secretly a hunter? Standing amidst the blood and defeated monsters, Yukins catches his breath and thinks with weary resignation. Ha, seriously. The stench of the aftermath fills the air, and he thinks in disgust. To think I'd have to smell the stench of blood even after coming to Earth. He clenches his teeth, his frustration boiling over. I went through all that hell hoping to rest easy. But if this is what Earth is like now, then it's no different from that world. The scene shifts to an underground shelter where a crowd of evacuated civilians murmurs anxiously amongst themselves. Suddenly, a chilling crack appears in the shelter's reinforced wall, a sign that their sanctuary is not as safe as they thought. Inside the shelter before the breach, Yukins and Yunong share a moment. Yukins muses. So instead of grade schoolers, they're called little brats now. Yunong indignantly replies. That's a very mean way to call elementary schoolers. A frantic woman with dark hair and elegant clothes appears screaming. Wah-wah-ing as she spots her son. It's Yunong's mother. She rushes to them relieved but scolding. Did you bring Yunong here? Thank you so much. He can be so reckless. You must have had a hard time. Yunong greets his mom as Yukins awkwardly accepts her thanks. Yukins quickly takes in her appearance, the luxury earrings and designer clothes. He thinks to himself, so this kid was a rich young master. That explains it. Just then, a deafening boom shakes the entire shelter, and Yukins looks up in alarm. A massive dark fist smashes through the supposedly secure wall of the shelter. The wall violently explodes inward, sending debris flying as a hulking monster forces its way into the terrified crowd. Panic erupts in the shelter. A man screams. The outer wall of the shelter collapsed. Another voice yells, "Everyone run!" Yunong frantically pulls at Yukins' shirt, urging him. "Mister, I think we have to run this time." But Yukins remains still, his face shadowed with grim acceptance. Yunong yells his name again, but he is lost in thought. I wasn't asking for much, he thinks. His internal monologue continues, filled with sorrow. I just wanted to return to the world I knew, to my home that I missed so dearly. He looks down at his hand, scarred from countless battles, and asks the empty air, "Did I ask for too much?" He turns his attention back to the boy. "Hey, brat," he says, hiding behind his mother. Yunong retorts, "I told you not to call me that." As a hulking monster stands menacingly before them, Yukins asks pointedly, "You're rich, aren't you? Why are you still trying to become a hunter? Can't you just hide out somewhere safe and live comfortably? You don't have to fight." Yunong's expression hardens with resolve. He answers with a heavy heart, "I lost my dad to a monster." He elaborates on the tragedy. "A corrosion rift opened up in the underground bunker we thought was safe. That's when I realized that there's no safe place on Earth." An image of his determined future self appears as he voices his conviction. "So, even though I'm not strong like you yet, and monsters are still scary, I'm going to become the strongest hunter, get rid of all the corrosion rifts." With all the courage he can muster, Yunong looks at Yukins and makes a bold declaration. "And save the world." Yunong begins to say, "It might sound like a stupid dream to you, but however, Yukins surprises him with a gentle smile, replying, "No, you'll become a great hunter." As he walks past the boy and his mother towards the monsters, he adds a crucial caveat. "It's just you won't be able to save the world." Yunong's mother frantically tries to pull him away to safety. "Yuni, that's enough. Let's go now." "Okay." But the boy can't take his eyes off the lone figure, protesting. "Wait a minute." Mr. is still. Yukins strides past them, his determined gaze fixed on the enemy ahead, stunning Yunong into silence. As Yukins faces the breach alone, Yunong calls out after him one last time, "Mister." A close-up on Yunong's eyes reveals a shift from fear to dawning realization. Surrounded by the swirling purple energy of his paradox flame, Yukins turns back slightly and declares his purpose. "Because I'm going to do it." Yunong stares mesmerized as the words echo in his mind. Saving the world with a knowing, almost weary smile. Yukins accepts his inescapable destiny as a job for someone who's done it before. The story begins with a recap of the protagonist's life. He was summoned to another world where he had to fight monsters for 20 years. After finally making his way back to Earth, he had no time to enjoy his freedom as he was immediately confronted by a corrosion rift. Fortunately, he survived by drawing on his past life's experience. He also made a promise to a kid that he would save the world. However, he confesses that he did nothing. The scene then shows him Yukins, completely engrossed in playing a video game, looking like a slob. On his computer screen, the word victory flashes, indicating his win in the game. Yukins casually remarks, "I won. Too easy." Showing a stark contrast between his past as a world-saving hero and his current life as a gamer. He then cracks open a can of soda, a simple pleasure he couldn't enjoy in the other world. He recalls confidently declaring that someone who's saved the world once can do it again. But his desire to save the world didn't last long, as he is shown relaxing in his gaming chair. The games and abundant food he could only dream of in the other world, and a system where you can do anything with just one touch were too tempting to resist. He thinks to himself that there are already hunters for saving the world. He decides to just order some delivery food, but as he checks his phone, he's shocked to find out he spent all his severance pay with only 3,201 left. The text explains that the original owner of this body, also named Yukins, was an employee at a logistics company that went bankrupt due to a corrosion rift. Now that Yukins' severance pay has run out, he has tried to find a new job, but he laments that there's no way he can get a normal job in the current situation. With a desperate look, he Realizes that because of the constantly appearing corrosion rifts, most companies are going out of business, so his unemployment is to be expected. He needs a job to survive in modern society, but it seems like no one is hiring new people. He wonders what he is supposed to do. Just then, an ad for hunter recruitment pops up on his phone. He mutters. Well, looking down at the Hunter Association building from above, he acknowledges that he does have experience in this line of work. The scene shifts to the hunter selection venue where many candidates are gathered. One of them exclaims excitedly, "Wow, I'm going to be a hunter." But his companion tells him not to get too excited as it's just the hunter selection. The cynical friend adds that the selection test has become just a formality these days. According to him, you get selected just by showing a unique skill. He looks at the other candidates with disdain, thinking that they're all the same, just a bunch of small fries. As a woman with long black hair walks past, the man who was just talking wonders aloud. Aren't we going to get too famous? Another man nearby taps him on the shoulder smugly, commenting that this batch of candidates is the best. Suddenly, the man's expression changes to one of pure shock as he recognizes the woman who just walked by, shouting, "What the hell? It's Lee Sohn." The crowd erupts in murmurs as Lee Sohn makes her entrance. A text box confirms her identity. Lee Sohn, World Hunter Ranking, 10th Affiliation, Janabi Guild Partner Hunter. The candidates are shocked to see her. One exclaims, "I thought we wouldn't get to see her. She went to Yawin to subjugate a corrosion rift." Another wonders if the Janabi Guild sent someone to scout in person. The crowd eagerly wonders who a top guild like Janabi could be scouting. The focus then shifts to a screen displaying the profile of Han Sanga, a highly touted Hunter Academy graduate whose awakened abilities are listed as electrokinesis and swordsmanship. Meanwhile, Lee Sohn reviews the candidates' file. Her subordinate leans in and jokes. With electrokinesis, she could probably charge batteries, right? Unimpressed, Lee Sohn coolly retorts. She's a hunter candidate, not a power generator. Subordinate continues saying that they say Han Sanga is quite skilled with her ability, so he's sure she'll be useful. Lee Sohn, however, remains unconvinced, replying with a cryptic, "Maybe, maybe not," which puzzles her subordinate. Getting worked up, subordinate raises his voice, exclaiming, "Hunting in corrosion rifts is real combat." Lee Sohn simply replies unfazed, "Ah, you startled me." A male observer with spiky hair chimes in, agreeing that even if students excel at the academy, there are many cases where they don't achieve great results in actual combat. Lee Sohn with a slight smirk offers him a piece of candy, and he thanks her enthusiastically. A thought bubble illustrates the harsh reality. Practice and real combat are completely different. It's difficult for academy students who have only had safe training to endure the real thing, which is depicted as a terrifying scene with a monster. The thought concludes that it will take a long time for Han Sanga to adapt. The male observer wonders if the team leader knows he'll be away for a whole week. Just then, an announcement booms through the stadium. "Hunters, thank you for your patience. We will now begin the first match." With a confident smirk, Lee Sohn thinks to herself that one way or another, she has a job to do. She mentally addresses the candidates, challenging them. "Raise your value enough to make me want to take you." A commentator wearing a headset observes the arena with interest, remarking, "Oh ho, this candidate is quite interesting." The commentator notes that the candidate is a civilian who isn't even from the Hunter Academy. As a hand is shown gripping a weapon, the commentator continues, stating that this situation is unprecedented. Seeing the back of the candidate walking towards the brightly lit stage, the commentator wonders, what kind of guts does he have to stand on this stage? An announcer introduces him. "Here we have candidate Yukins." As he walks into the arena, Yukins thinks to himself with a weary expression, "I'm still not used to the new name." The rules of the match are announced over the stadium speakers. Personal weapons other than those provided by the association are not allowed, and inflicting life-threatening injuries is prohibited. In the arena, Yukins and his opponent face each other. With a serious expression, Yukins reaffirms his goals. "Since I've decided to become a hunter, the first thing I need to do is save this world that's destined to fall." He continues his internal monologue simultaneously. "I got to live well and eat well." His opponent, the Spear Master, smirks confidently, thinking, "Unbelievable." Yukins concludes his thought process. To achieve his goals, he needs to get good results in this tournament. The announcer calls both candidates to their positions. A referee raises his hand, signaling the start of the match. The referee yells, Fight. The spear master immediately leaps into action, his weapon blazing with fire. He laughs, mocking his opponent. Haha, my opponent is someone who can't even gather mana. As the spear master charges, he yells. Consider it an honor to lose to me. Yukins just looks on with a calm, determined expression. The spear master, boasting that he's the undefeated spear master of the Hunter Academy, unleashes a powerful, fiery attack. However, Yukins effortlessly dodges the attack with a simple sidestep, moving with incredible speed. The fiery spear smashes into the empty ground where Yukins was just standing. The spear master looks on in disbelief, exclaiming, what? The spear master looks around frantically, his eyes wide with shock. He vanished, he thinks, then calls out. Hey, Yukins suddenly appears right beside him, looking unimpressed. He casually comments, You're pretty clumsy with that spear. Before the spear master can even react, Yukins closes the distance and delivers a swift, powerful blow to his stomach, the first in a rapid combination. The force of the impact knocks the spear master off his feet as the air is visibly forced from his lungs, leaving him wide open for the next attack. Yukins continues his assault, landing another clean, powerful punch to the spear master's jaw. The force of the blow sends the spear master's head snapping back, his eyes rolling into his head as he loses consciousness. Yukins stands over his defeated opponent, feigning surprise. W8 already? He says aloud while thinking to himself. I used my bare hands because I thought I'd hurt him pretty badly if I used a spear. With a nervous sweat drop, he thinks that his opponent's skill level is like a beginner's, which is actually shocking. He wonders to himself. This can't be your average for hunters, can it? Watching from the stands, Lee Son is momentarily speechless. She looks on with a shocked expression, thinking, What's with that guy? The male observer beside her is baffled, whispering that Yukins' previous job was at a logistics company. Lee Son observes keenly, nodding. He has almost no mana accumulated in his body. The male observer continues his faulty analysis, arguing that to generate that much power, one would need to accumulate mana over a long time. He concludes that since that's not the case, Yukins' victory must have been a fluke. Suddenly, a hand extends towards him, offering a single piece of candy. The male observer takes this as a sign from Lee Son telling him to shut up, but she corrects his assumption, stating plainly, No, that guy is intentionally not accumulating mana. The male observer is stunned by this revelation, asking how that's even possible. Meanwhile, in the arena, Yukins rolls his neck, thinking, It's a bit uncomfortable, but to prove my abilities, I should probably finish this decisively. The spear master, still conscious, but defeated on the ground, looks up in terror at Yukins, stammering. Og, why you? How? As a blue aura begins to emanate from Yukins, Yukins looks down at his fallen opponent, his own hand glowing with power. He says reassuringly, Don't worry, it won't be a fatal wound. The spear master's eyes widen in fear, only able to utter, What? Before the final blow is delivered. The spear master lies completely knocked out, foaming at the mouth. A buzzer sounds and the announcer declares, The winner is candidate Yukins. The crowd in the stands erupts in disbelief, shocked by the swift and one-sided victory. A close-up of Lee Son's eye reveals her intrigue and sharp focus as she analyzes the outcome. The spectators continue to buzz with excitement and confusion over the unexpected result. A confident smirk appears on Lee Son's face. She thinks to herself, While the others are busy evaluating him, I need to make my move. I want to see his real skills. She abruptly stands up to leave. Her subordinate asks, Where are you going? She replies coolly, I need to go see the association president. The scene flashes through Yukins' subsequent matches where he effortlessly defeats opponent after opponent. He thinks to himself, So weak. Even for rookies who just became hunters, aren't they just too weak? As he dispatches another fighter, he continues his internal monologue, unimpressed. No matter how many matches I fight, the guys coming out are all about the same level. He easily defeats a swordsman, knocking him into the air and thinking with disdain, What on earth do they teach at this Hunter Academy? A rustling sound from the audience signals a shift in attention. In the stands, the mood shifts as the next fighter is about to be introduced. One spectator notes her appearance. Ooh, she's pretty. While another leans forward, his voice filled with anticipation for a real contest. Finally, I'll get to see it. The moment the crowd has been waiting for arrives. The announcer's voice booms. For the grand finale, it's candidate Han Sanga. She stands in the center of the arena, katana in hand, presented as the final challenger. The question hangs in the air. Can the Academy's top graduate finally stop the unstoppable march of the mysterious super rookie? Yukins looks at his opponent, Han Sanga, and thinks with a hint of acknowledgement. Oh, you're at least. Han Sanga exhales, her expression confident. Yukins finishes his thought. The one who's gathered the most mana out of everyone I've seen today. Han Sanga speaks first, taunting him. And yet you have nothing. You may have gotten this far by luck, but there will be no more flukes. Unimpressed, Yukins retorts. Is that generic line also something they teach at the Hunter Academy? She grips her katana, observing him. Seeing as you're just throwing punches, you must not have a unique skill. Her eyes glow with electric green energy as she declares. But that doesn't mean I'll go easy on you. Yukins gives a bland reply. Well, thanks. Internally, however, he thinks a unique skill. I have one, but I'm not using it because I think you'll get hurt if I do. A menacing spectral figure looms behind him, hinting at his true power. Han Sanga takes a deep breath, preparing for battle. The announcer shouts. Ready. As the announcer yells. Fight. Han Sanga immediately unleashes her power, surrounding herself with crackling yellow lightning. She channels the electrical energy into her sheathed katana, preparing her signature move. Yukins's eyes widen in surprise as he senses the immense power she's gathering. In a flash of light, Han Sanga unleashes her attack, firing her electrified sword like a rail gun. Han Sanga stares intently, fully expecting her powerful attack to annihilate her opponent. However, Yukins effortlessly dodges the blindingly fast attack by simply jumping high into the air. Han Sanga is left speechless, her eyes wide with disbelief. He dodged it, she thinks. He dodged lightning by just jumping while flipping through the air. Yukins calmly analyzes her technique. Interesting. By running an electric current through the scabbard and blade, she made them magnetic. Then she added magnetic force to the power of drawing the sword, turning it into a rail gun. He lands perfectly on the ground and lectures her. Yeah, your skills are definitely the best so far, but you missed the most important thing. Confused, Han Sanga asks. What? Yukins explains her tactical error, thinking on when to attack. You were too focused on just attacking quickly. He continues his breakdown of her failed attack. Han Sanga's mistake was that in order to accelerate the drawn sword even faster, she laid down a magnetic rail in the empty air. He finishes his critique with a condescending smile. No matter how fast and powerful it is, what kind of idiot would take an attack with a path that's in plain sight? Humiliated and enraged, Han Sanga glares at him and shouts. Don't get cocky. She declares. I can beat the likes of you even without using that technique. And lunges forward, her body once again crackling with electricity. Yukin sidesteps her attack with ease, thinking to himself. Are you an idiot? I dodged your fastest attack, so there's no way I'd get hit by this. Growing more desperate, Han Sanga channels even more power, her eyes glowing intensely as electricity surges around her. She unleashes a massive uncontrolled blast of electricity in a wide arc, trying to overwhelm him with raw power. Yukins gracefully leaps over the electrical field, observing her critically. She's overdoing it. She's forcing herself to scrape together mana. Yukins watches her, thinking with a hint of concern. If she keeps this up, her body is going to get wrecked. He closes the distance in an instant, appearing right in front of a surprised Han Sanga. That was cool, but let's stop here, he says, ready to end the fight. With a condescending smirk, he tells her. If it hurts, raise your left hand. He then unleashes a series of precise, lightning-fast strikes, targeting her vital points without using lethal force. Han Sanga can only grunt in pain, completely overwhelmed by the speed and precision of his attacks. He follows up with another swift strike, cracking his knuckles in preparation. He lands a solid punch to her midsection, knocking the wind out of her. He follows with a swift chop to the back of her neck. The final blow, a sharp uppercut, snaps her head back. Her eyes roll back into her head as she is knocked unconscious, blood trickling from her nose. She collapses to the ground, defeated, her katana clattering beside her. The crowd is stunned into silence. A spectator murmurs in disbelief. No way. He overwhelmed Han Sanga, the top student of the academy. Another adds. Where did a guy like that come from? Yukins casually adjusts his collar, thinking to himself. She was certainly more skilled than the other guys. But to go down from that, she must have relied on mana and neglected her physical training. He hears a faint and turns in surprise. No way is she up for more. A single trembling hand is raised weakly into the air. The announcer rushes to the fallen Han Sanga, who is weakly holding up her left hand just as Yukins had told her to. Yukins smirks amused. I told her to raise it, and she really did. He thinks to himself as medical staff tend to the defeated Han Sanga. Yukins begins to walk away. The match seemingly over. Suddenly the announcer gets a message through his headset and exclaims in shock. What? He stands up and grabs the microphone, making a sudden declaration to the entire stadium. Attention. The tournament schedule has been changed. He addresses the winner. Winner Yukins, please take a short break. Yukins looks annoyed, thinking. A break? What are you talking about? Wasn't it over? The announcer drops the bombshell. In a moment, winner Yukins and an active hunter will have a special match. The crowd reacts with shock and a silhouette of a female hunter with a sword flashes on screen. He explains. By special permission of the association president, this match has been arranged. Please give it your enthusiastic support. In the stands, Lee Son's subordinates react. In the end, she went and did it, one thinks, confirming Lee Son as the instigator. The announcer adds that the opponent has been announced on the monitor. The crowd erupts in cheers. Hearing their reaction, Yukins surmises. Judging by these reactions, they must be a pretty skilled hunter. Yukins's eyes narrow in understanding. A special match. Did she step up herself to test my abilities? He thinks, realizing that just like in his old world, the powerful are always testing the opancomers. A massive sword slams into the arena floor in front of Yukins. A voice confirms his name. Your name is Yukins, right? The owner of the voice steps forward, her long black hair flowing. It's Lee Son. She apologizes. Sorry for showing up without any warning. It seems there was no other way to confirm your skills. She stands confidently, holding her enormous blade, and formally introduces herself. I'm Lee Son of Janabi Guild. With a captivating, almost predatory smile, she issues the challenge. It seems like the stage has been too small for you until now. How about a match with me, Yukins? She gives him an out, adding. You can refuse if it's too much. I'd understand since it was so sudden. But Yukins recognizes the name instantly, thinking. Lee Son, she's ranked 10th in the World Hunter rankings. He analyzes the situation, sensing the immense aura and composure she radiates. Plus, the aura and composure coming from her body right now. It's not a bluff. She's a real pro. He also acknowledges his current limitations. In my current body, it'll be tough even with a spear. Despite the immense challenge, a confident, eager smirk spreads across his face as he thinks. But he gives his answer without hesitation. All right, let's do it now. The announcer is flabbergasted, stammering. Are you right now? You mean, Yukins coolly explains. To be honest, I haven't used up much stamina so far. He then adds in his thoughts. Also, I think I might be able to see it. Lee Son smirks back, intrigued. Fired up, aren't you? As the defeated Han Sanga is carried off on a stretcher, Yukins reaffirms his decision. If I have to fight her anyway, this is for the best. Get the best possible results in the tournament. He sees this unexpected challenge not as a threat but as a golden opportunity. As a weapon is brought into the arena, he thinks. She's the perfect opponent for that. Yukins picks up a spear. A fierce and determined grin spreading across his face. He readies himself for the battle, thinking. Let's see. Shall I raise my value? In the final round of the Hunter Selection Tournament, the clash on stage sends a shock wave through the audience with spectators flinching at the sheer force of the impact. Even the commentators are on the edge of their seats, sweating as they witness the unprecedented intensity of the battle. On the stage, Lee Son, a hunter from the Janabi Guild, swings her massive sword with deadly precision and a focused gaze. Her opponent, Yukins, grunts as he parries the heavy blow. The impact creating sparks between their weapons, struggling against her strength, he can't help but wonder. How can a woman's body have this much power? Lee Son gives him no time to recover. Immediately pressing her advantage with another powerful swing of her sword. She follows up with a swift, powerful kick that sends Yukins flying across the arena floor. As the fight drags on, Lee Son observes her opponent keenly. She internally notes. Compared to the beginning, his speed has dropped considerably. Yukin's panting and sweating realizes his disadvantage. Damn it. It's not that there are no openings. This body just doesn't have the physical ability to exploit them. Lee Son stands confidently before him. I was hoping for a good warm-up, but are you tired already? Still, you did well. I thought you'd last about 5 minutes, not 30 straight. She takes a determined step forward, the ground cracking slightly under her foot. Raising her weapon once more, she declares. So now I'll make it easy for you. Yukins assesses his rapidly depleting energy. I have practically no mana stored up, and there's not much mana in the atmosphere either. He takes a sharp breath, his body covered in scratches and bruises, clearly reaching his physical limit. As Lee Son leaps into the air for a finishing blow, he makes a decision. I didn't want to use it, but I guess I have to. His eyes flash with a golden light as he unleashes his hidden power, crying out its name. Paradox Flame. The sudden surge of a new strange energy from her opponent makes Lee Son's eyes widen in shock. The black flames erupt from Yukin's, effortlessly repelling her attack and shattering the ground around them. He lands gracefully, the strange power swirling around him while Lee Son is pushed back by the force. Lee Son stares in disbelief. I definitely swung with enough force that he shouldn't have been able to dodge. Yukin's is now wreathed in an aura of black ethereal flames. Lee Son demands. What is that? He calmly exhales a puff of the black flame, answering her question. Paradox Flame. He elaborates with a detached confidence. It's my specialty that I use constantly before returning to Earth. I trust this power the most. He gestures towards his clothes, licked by the dark aura, but completely undamaged. As you can tell from my unscathed clothes, he explains calmly. This black flame cannot burn matter. Instead, he continues, the strange energy swirling around him. Each of these flames burns using the abstract concepts I've designated as fuel. With my current output, I can't burn concepts with high ignition points like self, memory, or reason. Yukins dashes forward, his body renewed with energy as he continues his explanation. So, the concept I'll burn right now is Lee Son's eyes widen as she struggles to track his movements, shocked by his sudden recovery. You've gotten faster, she thinks as he launches himself into the air, his weapon poised to strike. Yukins reveals the source of his renewed vigor. Fatigue. Lee Son is astonished by this unbelievable turn of events. You recovered in that short time, she wonders. The battle resumes, but the roles have reversed. Yukins is now on the offensive, effortlessly parrying Lee Son's attacks. Lee Son analyzes the bizarre phenomenon. What's this? The concentration of mana in the air keeps fluctuating. The arena settings haven't changed. Could it be? Yukins further explains his ability. Just as fire releases heat when it burns matter, Paradox Flame also releases mana as it burns abstract concepts. He describes the mechanics of his power. I use mana to ignite the Paradox Flame. And in turn, the Paradox Flame burns my fatigue to generate more mana. With a firm stomp that cracks the ground, he concludes. It's an endless cycle. Now completely overwhelming his opponent, he continues his internal monologue. In other words, my specialty is. He forces Lee Son back, her defense crumbling under his relentless assault. Pushed into a corner and barely holding on, she asks. Are you going to keep this up? He doesn't let up. Pressing his attack like a predator that refuses to let its prey escape. With a devilish smile, he reveals his strategy. A war of attrition. I can still keep going, you know. He flashes a smug grin, taunting her. By any chance, do you like guys who don't know when to quit? Gritting her teeth in frustration, Lee Son snaps back. No, I absolutely hate them. A narrator explains the limits of this power. Just as fire leaves behind unburnable ash, the Paradox Flame also leaves a residue. Once everything is burned to ash, the Paradox Flame will disappear. A thought bubble notes a specific time. 4 hours and 17 minutes. Suddenly, the fight is over. Yukins lies on the ground comically forfeiting. Lee Son asks if he wants more, but he begs for mercy. The stadium announcer declares the official result. Candidate Yukins forfeit. Hunter Lee Son is the victor. As a prize, Lee Son casually pulls out a massive red and white lollipop. In the stands, the commentators who had been watching the fight are utterly baffled by this development, shouting, "That lollipop!" She offers the candy to him with a smile. Here, this is for your hard work. I put my business card in there with it. He takes it and reads the details. Lee Son Janabi LLC Team 3 Partner Hunter. She gives him a charming look. We'll talk about the details later. For now, just give me a call. The intense hunter selection trials finally concluded. The announcer's voice boomed across the stadium, calling the winner, Yukins, to the stage to accept his award. But amidst the noise, a specific name caught his attention. Janabi, he wondered internally. Is that a hunter's agency? Later, Yukins enjoys the spoils of his defeat. Munching on the lollipop given to him by Lee Son, he examines the smartphone he received. This smartphone has a hunter license on it. Look at this technology. Back in my day, they just gave you a piece of paper. He reads through the features. Community market notices and even a military satellite connection. He's impressed. It really has everything. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him. Hunter Yukins, right? He turns to see a massively built man with a confident smirk. You look much better in person than on camera, the man says, stepping towards him. Yukins is taken aback by the man's sheer size, thinking he's super tall, must be over 2 meters. He asks, Yes, but who are you? The man replies, Here, my business card. Yukins reads the card. Yun Xian Hyun, Partner Hunter, TBI LLC. The man clarifies. To be precise, I'm Yun Xian Hyun, a partner hunter from the TBI Guild. I'll keep it short. Come to TIB, to be exact, my team. Yun Xian Hyun continues his pitch. If you gain enough experience under me, you'll definitely shine. Yukins internally notes. He doesn't seem to be lying. As Yukins considers the offer, he's startled by a memory of Lee Son's face popping into his mind, reminding him of her words. Here's my number. Call me. He politely deflects Yun Xian Hyun's offer. I have a prior engagement, so I can't give him a firm answer. I'll think about it a little more before making a decision. Yun Xian Hyun lets out a hearty laugh. Did you think I was going to demand an answer right here and now? However, he leans in close, his hand gripping Yukins' shoulder with surprising strength. With an intimidating grin, he adds a veiled threat. You better think this through properly. Yun Xian Hyun then turns and walks away, casually saying, See you around. Yukins is left speechless for a moment. As soon as the intimidating hunter is gone, Yukins makes a firm decision, his face showing clear aversion. I'm definitely skipping TIB. Just then his phone starts to ring. The call connects. From an empty classroom, a voice says, Yes, this is Lee Son. On the other end, Yukins replies, This is Yukins. Where should I come? She gives him directions. I'm at the hut on the 2nd floor of the Hunter Association building. I'll send you the location. Come here. Yukins arrives, pondering the unusual name of the cafe, the hut. Inside, a cheerful barista with a braided ponytail and a warm smile greets him enthusiastically. Welcome to the hut. From a nearby table, Lee Son waves him over. You're here early. Welcome. Have a seat. As he walks towards her table, he comments. The cafe's name is unusual. She gets straight to the point, asking, Did something happen? He sits down and explains. One person tried to recruit me for a guild. A really huge guy. An ominous shadow of the massive hunter appears as Lee Son identifies him. Yun Xiang Hyun of TIB. Since Yun Xiang Hyun himself showed interest in you, the other guilds wouldn't have even dared to make an offer. Yukin smirks, seeing a contradiction. Doesn't that mean it's the same for Janabi? Lee Son calmly takes a bite of her dessert and shocks him with her reply. Huh! I have no intention of recruiting you. Yukins is confused. What then? Why? She proposes an alternative. How about working without being affiliated with a guild as a freelancer? This idea piques his interest. I don't have to belong to a guild. He thinks. Lee Son continues stirring her drink. Yun Xian Hyun was probably going to offer you a junior position. Yukins is unfamiliar with the term junior position. He asks for clarification. What's a junior and what's a partner hunter? Lee Son remembers his unique background. That's right. You said you weren't from the Hunter Academy, didn't you? She begins to explain the guild hierarchy. The ranks for hunters belonging to a guild are usually divided into 3, junior, senior, and partner. She lays out the structure with a chart. Juniors and seniors belong to teams led by partner hunters. You can think of them as salaried employees. She then explains her own rank. Partner hunters have shares in the guild instead of a salary. They share the net profits the guild earns. It might be easier to think of them as business owners. Yukins immediately makes a connection. That sounds exactly like a law firm. Lee Son confirms. Right. I've heard that the hunter who first established the guilds used law firms as a model. She clarifies an important point. You don't necessarily have to belong to a guild and go through the junior and senior ranks to become a partner hunter. A smile creeps onto Yukins' face as he understands. I think I get it. If I become famous and achieve respectable results, they'll automatically come looking for me. Exactly, she exclaims, pushing another piece of candy towards him. He wonders why does she keep giving me candy? He brings up a valid concern. But since I have no connections and no experience, it'll be hard for me to get any proper requests. With a cunning smile, Lee Son makes her move. I'll help you with that free of charge. Yukins is suspicious of her generosity, munching on the candy she gave him. I don't understand why you do this much for me. She reveals her true intention. In the future, when you've built up enough of a reputation, I just want you to think. Ah, that's right. There was a place called Janabi. He immediately understands. So, you're putting me in your debt? She slides a manila envelope across the table. Want to take a look at this, though? It's your choice whether you do it or not. What's this? He asks, pulling out the documents. She explains. It's a request from Ancient City. There's a place called Jayadango Island where a corrosion zone formed 2 years ago after a failed attempt to eliminate a corrosion rift. He looks at the documents, which include a map and details in a cryptic script. So, I just have to go and get rid of this corrosion rift. She corrects him. No, you'll be patrolling Jayadango Island to see if any additional corrosion rifts have appeared and get rid of them. He reads the mission details aloud. Starts in 1 month, 5 million won up front with an additional 15 million upon success. He drops the papers on the table unimpressed. Considering this is a life-threatening job, the pay isn't exactly that great. Lee Son smiles slightly. If it feels unfair, then get stronger and become famous. Money will flow in your pockets even if they're full. She puts him on the spot. So, your answer? He looks at her with a serious expression. After a moment of consideration, he gives his answer. I will do it. Later, Lee Son is in a car on the phone with her boss. The boss asks. He's good. What kind of guy is he? She reports back. Yes, his name is Yukins. He's a civilian. He cleared a weapons mandatory tournament with his bare hands. Her boss simply replies. Not bad. In the car with her subordinates, Lee Son corrects her boss over the phone. Not bad isn't the right phrase. I practically spoon-fed him openings, she explains before emphatically stating to everyone listening. And he still lasted 4 whole hours against me. Her boss remains skeptical. Really? Isn't that just because you limited your power? She firmly refutes this, grounding her assessment in her hard-won expertise. Boss, I'm a veteran hunter with 10 years of experience. She continues, looking out over the city. All of my experience has been built upon surviving hellish places. Normally, I should have been able to toy with him but 4 hours. My God. As the scene shifts to a view of Jayadango Island, her internal monologue concludes with a chilling assessment. Even if I were reborn, I doubt I'd ever see another monster like him. The boss's voice continues over the phone, expressing doubt as we see a shot of hunters gathering on the island's shore. But no matter how highly you rate him, he raises a valid point about the mission's prerequisites. Didn't the Jayadango Island mission specifically request hunters with prior mission experience? The boss continues. His skills may be excellent, but will he be able to hold his weight teaming up with veteran hunters? Gripping the hilt of her sword, Lee Son confidently reassures him. If that's the concern, don't worry, boss, because I've paired him up with someone reliable. The scene reveals a determined-looking female hunter with short white hair. The boss concedes. All right, you're the brains of the operation here at Janabi, so I'll trust you. The boss poses one last question. That kid, what do you think he'll be like if he reaches your level? Lee Son smirks and replies. You might not like to hear this, but as an image of Yukins walking away with his weapon appears, she continues her bold prediction. If Yukins reaches my level, he'll be able to take you down as well, boss. The chapter concludes with a close-up of Yukins' intense and determined gaze, hinting at the immense potential within him. The story flashes back to 1 month ago. A delivery man struggles with a large, heavy package, trying to find the correct apartment. Apartment 1506, he mutters. He rings the doorbell, sweating from the effort. This is heavy as hell. What did they order? He thinks to himself. Having completed the delivery, the man moves on, checking his list. The next package is for the door to apartment 1506 creaks open and a voice from inside says, "It's here." Inside, Yukon sits before the large case that was just delivered, looking at it with a contemplative expression. He thinks, "It's unbelievably long." With a click, he unlatches the case. His eyes widen with excitement and anticipation. As he looks inside, Yukins lifts a formidable-looking spear from the case, a satisfied smile on his face. The spear should be fine with this. He then presents a small bottle filled with a glowing green liquid. And this is the elixir. An explanation follows. An elixir is a potion that hunters use in emergencies. It contains condensed mana, which is really helpful when mana is urgently needed. The scene explains the typical way of handling mana, which is similar to drinking water from a purifier. You control the mana in the atmosphere, store it in your body, and use it when needed. The elixir allows you to do that process in a short period of time. Yukins internally monologues. Though I use mana in a different way than others. An illustration shows how he skips the storage process, instead directly absorbing and using mana from the atmosphere. He continues his thought, explaining that the advantage of his method is that there's no limit since he uses the mana in the air. This is accompanied by an image of him unleashing a powerful attack. He elaborates that in the process of taking mana in and letting it out, the mana channels it passes through gradually strengthen, allowing for the use of more mana. He considers the downside. Until his mana channels grow, the amount he can handle is small, making it difficult to produce a strong output quickly. He opens the elixir, thinking, "Since I don't have time to wait right now, it seems best to store some of it before using it." Looking out his window at the city below, Yukins holds up the elixir with determination. "If I train with this for about a month, I should be able to grow just as much as I need." The scene shifts to the present day, showing an establishing shot of Jiadongo Island. A crowd of people, presumably hunters, are gathered and murmuring amongst themselves. Someone scans a QR code on a smartphone, likely for identification. A staff member checks his clipboard and confirms the identity. Identity confirmed. Hunter Yukins, you're in Squad B. A weathered sign shows the number 8, indicating the designated area for the squad. Yukins stands among the other hunters who are making small talk. When do we leave?" one asks. "This month's pay should be pretty good," says another. Others mention being scared or sleepy while someone asks if this is indeed squad number 8. Suddenly, someone calls out his name. Yukins. He turns in surprise. The person who called him is Han Sanga, a woman with short silver hair and a sword. She remarks on his hair, saying, "Your hair. It seems to have settled down." She quickly clarifies. "This is my normal hair. It was just static electricity back then." Han Sanga then suggests, "Anyway, we're in the same squad." "That's great. Let's work together during this mission." Unimpressed, Yukins gives her a cold, sideways glance and asks bluntly, "Why should I?" Han Sanga clarifies her reason for wanting to team up, stating, "Because you're stronger than me. I think I can watch and learn from you." However, her internal thought reveals her sarcasm. "Oh, Matilda, my shoulders are about to fall off from awe. How embarrassing." So embarrassing. Taking her words literally, Yukins asks with genuine concern, "Do your shoulders dislocate often?" "Chronic dislocation. That's really dangerous. What's a spear user like you going to do?" Han Sanga mentally clicks her tongue, thinking, "You should take better care of yourself." Tuscan adds, "It's like that time during the match. This kid has no sense of humor." A man with glasses, the squad leader, calls out to the group, "Your attention, please." From a higher deck, the squad leader addresses the assembled members below. "Squad B, since everyone has gathered, we will now have a briefing on the mission." The squad leader continues, "We also have hunters who are participating for the first time, so I will explain the terminologies as well. I ask for your kind understanding." Han Sanga glances sideways at Yukins, wondering, "Is he talking about me?" He begins to explain the mission basics. Corrosion rifts are classified as Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, and unclassified. The closer the rift is to Class 1, the more dangerous it is, he adds. Additionally, the first corrosion rift to appear in a specific area is given the additional name Alpha. The briefing continues with a warning. Currently, the location of the Alpha Corrosion Rift on Jayadango Island is the church in the northern part of Inzari. Although it is still an unclassified corrosion rift, considering the characteristic of corrosion rifts getting stronger over time, we kindly ask that you refrain from approaching it. The squad leader defines their objective. Our mission is to patrol Yupai and Jidang to identify and eliminate any additional corrosion rifts that may have appeared. 2 other hunters express their skepticism. One with brown hair speaks to his companion who wears a beanie. An elimination mission for a squad with a rookie. As their vessel approaches the shore, the squad leader announces, "Ah, you've already arrived. This is Jayadango Island." Staring at the island, Yukins remains silent, but his internal monologue is serious. "I can feel the chilling energy even from here. It feels like my blood is turning cold." Despite his inner feelings, Yukins maintains a deadpan expression and thinks, "They're all being so dramatic." He and Han Sanga then walk onto the deck. A button on a communication device is pressed with a beep. The squad leader provides a final instruction. The situation on the island is being briefed to the offshore control room, so if you need help, please contact them. He concludes the briefing with a simple, "Hunters, I wish you all the best." Now, on the island, the squad leader begins to outline the plan. Alright, first the plan is, it seems we'll need to scout the 2 areas over the course of a week. Yukins listens from the edge of the group. The squad leader looks toward a hunter with spiky blonde hair who seems confused and questions the plan. Yukins interrupts, holding up his phone to show a map. "Let's set up a base at Wajusa Temple and operate from there." The other hunters are taken back by his forwardness. The squad leader snickers while the hunter with the beanie confronts him directly. "Who are you? I haven't seen you before. Are you a rookie? More importantly, why are we going to Wajiasa Temple?" Yukins calmly lays out his strategy. From Wajiasa Temple, you can see Yupai. And from the peak of Wajiasan, you can see Jiadongyan directly. The old temple building is still there, so we can also use it for lodging. Isn't it obvious? The squad leader and the hunter with the beanie angrily object. "There are plenty of places to stay nearby," one shouts. "What if we get surrounded after needlessly climbing a mountain?" the other adds. Yukins retorts with disdain. "We're not fighting thousands of enemies. How can you possibly get surrounded there?" Gez, the hunter with the beanie, shouts. "Anyway, I'm not following the orders of some inexperienced hunter." Yukins gives an exasperated look and thinks, "Ha, idiots who defy logic exist in every world I see." Looking towards the forest path, Yukins gives them an ultimatum. "Then, why don't you just act separately?" Without waiting for a reply, Yukins turns away from the main group and takes a decisive step into the forest. He immediately breaks into a run. He is quickly joined by Han Sanga and surprisingly the brown-haired hunter who had been with the others follows as well, forming a splinter group of 3 as they disappear into the trees. As they run, Yukins thinks to himself, sizing up their new companion. "I expected Han Sanga to follow, but who is this guy? His mana is slightly higher than Han Sanga." Yukins stops and turns to the brown-haired hunter, who is startled by the sudden halt. "You said your name is Kim Ji, right? I'm curious why you followed us." Kim Ji explains. "Isn't this the first time for both of you? I was worried about letting 2 rookies act on their own." Yukins offers a slight smile and replies, "Thank you for your consideration." He thinks, "So, there's at least one decent person here." Suddenly, Yukins' eyes widen as he senses danger ahead. He digs his heel into the ground, coming to an abrupt stop. He throws a hand up, signaling for the others to stop. "Wait," he commands. Han Sanga and Kim Ji look shocked as Kim Ji starts to ask, "You Yukins?" Yukins brings a finger to his lips, hushing him. "Be quiet and have a peek over the other side," he whispers. Kim Ji is confused. Kim Ji cautiously peers from behind a large rock, his eyes widening in shock and fear at what he sees. In the clearing below, a massive horde of goblin-like corrosion creatures are gathered. Panicked, Kim Ji ducks back behind the rock. "We should take a detour. There are too many, at least 50 of them." Yukins remains calm and asks, "Calm down, Hunter Kim Ji, what's your unique skill?" Kim Ji reacts with disbelief. "What are you thinking of fighting them?" Yukins' gaze intensifies. "Isn't it natural for a hunter to fight corrosion creatures?" I'll ask again. "What's your unique skill?" A footnote provides context. A corrosion creature is a monster from a corrosion rift. Intimidated, Kim Ji answers, "It's flame." Yukins presses for more detail. What's the skill you're most confident in? Kim-ji specifies. Fireball. Without hesitation, Yukins gives his first order. Good. Then on my signal, please attack first. Kim-ji is flabbergasted, exclaiming. What? Kim-ji looks to their other companion for support. His expression desperate. What should I do? Han-sanga argues with Yukins. It's reckless to face 50 of them with just the 3 of us. Besides, didn't you say this was your first mission? Kim-ji suggests an alternative. We should radio the other hunters while we still can. Yukins immediately shuts him down. They won't arrive in time. A map illustrates their strategic disadvantage. Unlike us who departed directly from Wajiasa Temple, the other hunters are currently searching along the coast. Yukins explains the flaws in waiting for backup. It's reckless to radio them because there's no guarantee the hunters who hear the radio will arrive. And if these things scatter while we wait, they could become a threat to the other hunters. Kim-ji slowly begins to understand the logic. He thinks. He's right. Even if there happens to be a hunter nearby. A flashback shows the earlier argument with the squad leader. Kim-ji finishes his thought. They might not come right away because of the earlier conflict. Yukins states their only option. That means we have to deal with them. In this relatively disadvantageous situation, what we need to do is land a surprise attack. He quickly draws a simple diagram in the dirt with his spear. There's no time, so I'll explain immediately. Kim-ji, you'll first attack the center with a fireball and I'll block the sides. Yukins finishes laying out the strategy. Han-sanga, you will? And that's the plan. Han-sanga agrees without hesitation. Got it. Kim-ji is left in awe, his mind reeling from the display of tactical genius. Such a detailed strategy. He's anticipating every possibility. Why do I get the feeling that he's experienced this kind of battle countless times? Who in the world is he? The horde of corrosion creatures stands unaware. The silence before the storm at Yukins' signal. Kim-ji springs into action, shouting. Now! As he unleashes a fireball. The blazing fireball streaks towards the unsuspecting creatures, one of whom looks up just in time to see its doom approaching. The spell explodes in the center of the horde, engulfing the creatures in a fiery blast as they shriek in pain. As Yukins charges forward, Kim-ji yells. I need a moment before I can fire the next fireball. Yukins calmly replies over his shoulder. Got it. Shoot as soon as you're ready. Stealing his resolve, Kim-ji confirms. Yes, understood. As he begins gathering magical energy for another attack. Yukins dashes into the fray. A blur of motion as he closes the distance to the remaining monsters. His eyes narrow with focus as he reveals his core philosophy in an internal monologue. I prioritize efficiency in battle. He becomes a whirlwind of spear strikes, effortlessly weaving through the chaotic battlefield. To achieve maximum efficiency, dividing roles is essential. A snarling corrosion creature lunges at him with razor-sharp claws. As he fights, Yukins lays out his part of the plan in his mind. Until the next fireball is ready, I'll take care of the other ones so they can't get close to Kim-ji. He acknowledges his own limitations, even as he cuts down another foe. Of course, I can't block all of them by myself. A slight smile touches his lips as his strategy unfolds perfectly. That's why dividing the roles is important. Just as a monster breaks through Yukins' defense, Han-sanga draws her katana with a sharp click. She unleashes a powerful slash of electricity, intercepting and destroying the creature that was about to ambush Yukins. With electricity still crackling around her blade, Han-sanga stands ready, having flawlessly executed her defensive role. His spell fully charged, Kim-ji calls out from a safe distance. Yukins, I'm ready. With a confident grin, Yukins yells back the final command for the pincer attack. I'll get out of the way. Shoot. Kim-ji leaps high into the air, launching his second, more powerful fireball down onto the remaining creatures. The attack lands with devastating force, creating a massive explosion that tears through the forest and the rest of the monster horde. Yukins lands softly, gripping his spear as the smoke from the explosion begins to clear. His eyes glint with cold fury as he spots 2 survivors trying to escape. Kill them both, he roars. The heavy thud of a body hitting the forest floor echoes through the clearing. A defeated corrosion creature lies motionless on the ground, slain. Yukins stands tall amidst the battlefield, his jacket fluttering as he surveys the aftermath of their perfectly executed plan. Yukins turns to his teammates, a hint of satisfaction on his face as he begins to praise them. Everyone did a good, he starts to say, but is cut off by the distinct metallic click of a gun being cocked right behind him. The scene is plunged into darkness, focusing entirely on Kim Ji, whose previously fearful expression has been replaced by a cold, determined glare as he points a gun directly at the person who just saved him. Yukins can only say his name in stunned disbelief. Kim Ji. After the battle, Yukins looks back at his teammates and says, "Good work, everyone." Suddenly, Kim Ji points a gun at him. Confused by the reaction, Yukins asks, "Kim Ji." Ji lowers his gun with an embarrassed smile as Yukins calmly asks him to step aside. Ji thinks to himself, "Gez, why did he suddenly pull out the strap? I thought he was going to shoot me." The strap is revealed to be a tagging device, which Yukins implants into the monster's corpse. The female hunter asks, "Are you implanting a microchip?" Ji, who is doing the work, replies, "Yes, once the mission is over and the area is secured, the junk dealer I have a contract with will come and collect them." Yukins asks, "Junk dealer?" Ji explains, "It's hard for us to recover the byproducts from the corpses ourselves. They're bulky and heavy, you know." He continues with an illustration. "So if you tag them with chips like this, the junk dealers will come by after the mission is over and collect anything that looks valuable." Another diagram shows how the system works. Then they appraise the items, sell them, and split the profits. They take their commission based on the contract, and the rest goes back to the hunter who implanted the chip. Yukins questions the system's reliability, asking, "Can you trust them?" Ji replies, "That's why it's important to find a good junk dealer and sign a contract." Changing the subject, Ji praises Yukins. "Anyway, you were amazing, Yukins. To think the three of us could handle so many of them. I never even imagined." But his praise is cut short as he notices something in the distance. Without warning, a huge monster crashes down. Yukins acts instantly, pushing Ji out of the way of the devastating blow. After pushing him to safety, Yukins lands and immediately checks on his teammate, asking, "Are you okay?" Kim Ji, still on the ground, looks up in shock and asks, "What is it now?" As the team regroups to face the new threat, a horrifying wide grin filled with sharp teeth appears from the shadows, signaling a much more dangerous foe. Yukins' eyes narrow as he assesses the new enemy. Looks like a large muscular monster with red bat-like horns reveals itself, radiating a powerful aura. Yukins finishes his thought. It's some kind of mid-boss. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Yukins grits his teeth and mutters, "Damn it." The monster lets out a low growl. Yukins analyzes the threat, thinking, is this the leader of those things from before? He senses the immense power difference. On top of that, the amount of mana it's giving off, it's on a completely different level from those small fries. He makes a decision and yells, "I'll handle this. Do not interfere." The female hunter starts to object. "But we can't just." While a worried Kim Ji quickly forms a plan. "We should buy time with a pincer attack, fall back, and report the situation." He thinks to himself that if the monster is after all three of them, the other two wouldn't be able to escape. Yukins furiously rejects their plans, screaming at them, "Stop talking and get back. Do you want to go home in a body bag?" His teammates are stunned into silence, shocked by his violent outburst and the sheer intensity of his command. Standing alone with his spear, Yukins thinks, "It's actually better that I handle this alone. I can use Paradox Flame without worrying about friendly fire and finish this as quickly as possible." With cold determination, Yukins faces the mid-boss, taunting it to begin the fight. "Come on, you bat bastard." The battle immediately begins. From afar, it looks like a chaotic clash with huge bursts of energy erupting from their confrontation. Watching from a safe distance, the female hunter asks with concern, "Shouldn't we be helping him?" Kim Ji agrees, adding, "He looks like he's in trouble." However, the female hunter, observing more closely, interjects, "There's no need." Ji continues to voice his concern, saying, "It might look like Yukins is getting pushed back." She finishes her thought as they watch Yukins effortlessly evade the monster's strikes. But he hasn't been hit even once. With a sharp analytical gaze, she continues, "And it's not just that." She marvels at his skill. "Those are attacks that I would have struggled just to dodge, but he's dodging and attacking at the same time." She notices the strange black flames emanating from his weapon. What's more is that when his spear lands a strike, black flames appear each time. What in the world is that? She observes the effect of this mysterious power on the beast. As the flame output increases, the monster gets much slower. The realization of Yukin's true power dawns on her. At first, it looked like Yukins was struggling, but now he's toying with the monster. The female hunter is completely dumbfounded, breaking into a nervous sweat. She thinks, is he really a rookie hunter like me? How is this even possible? Back in the fight, Yukins easily sidesteps a clumsy attack from the now sluggish monster. He spins around the monster, his spear glowing with dark energy, preparing for a decisive blow. He grips his spear tightly, ready to unleash his next move. In a surprising move, Yukins hurls his spear high up into the sky. The female hunter's eyes widen in disbelief as she cries out, "The spear!" The spear hangs motionless in the air, high above the battlefield, poised directly over the monster. Kim Ji is equally shocked by the seemingly reckless action, exclaiming, "He threw it." Seeing Yukins, now unarmed, the monster lunges forward to attack. Ji screams a warning. "Yukins, watch out!" The monster's giant, toothy mouth closes in on Yukins, who stands his ground without a weapon. Despite the immense danger, Yukins remains perfectly calm, not even flinching as the beast attacks. Suddenly, the spear that was thrown into the air plummets down, impaling the monster through the back of its head. Yukins stands over the fallen beast, which is pinned to the ground by his spear. He remarks, "To think it can still move after I burned all of its strength." His eyes narrow, filled with a cold resolve. He decides, "I'll have to finish it off for good." His teammates look on, completely stunned and speechless at the incredible display of power and strategy. Ji tries to process what just happened, his mind reeling. No way. It definitely looked like Hunter Yukins was getting pushed back. But now the monster is down. What in the world happened? His shock turns to a dawning horror about the nature of their mission. Having dealt with the threat, Yukins calmly retrieves his spear and calls out to his dazed teammate, "Kim Ji." Snapping out of his trance, Ji quickly responds, "Ah, yes." Ready to voice the terrifying question that has just formed in his mind. Ji looks at the massive corpse and asks, "Yukins, is it normal for a monster like this to appear on Jayadango Island?" The female hunter answers, "I was wondering that too. For an entity that isn't even the core of the corrosion rift. It could be possible if this were a corrosion zone with a rift that was at least rated grade 3. Yukins recalls the different tiers of corrosion rifts. He thinks to himself during the pre-mission briefing, "I definitely heard that the Alpha Corrosion Rift on Jayadango Island was unclassified." He states his conclusion grimly. In that case, it seems the Alpha Corrosion Rift on Jayadango Island has gone up to grade 3. His teammates are shocked into silence. The female hunter protests. But at the briefing, Yukins cuts her off. Think about it rationally. If it's not grade 3, there's no other way to explain this situation. The reality of the situation hits Kim Ji, and he panics. Wait a minute. The difference between an unclassified rift and a grade 3 one is like night and day. If that's true, then he looks out at the vast dark island, realizing the terrifying implication for everyone else deployed there. The number of hunters who can make it back alive will be close to none. In a desperate plea, Ji turns to Yukins. "Yukins, let's go save the other hunters with your skills." Even a grade 3. But Yukins bluntly shuts him down. "I reject." Ji is stunned by his cold refusal. "What? Why?" Yukins coolly replies. "How am I supposed to save every hunter wandering this island by myself? I have my limits too. If I can't do something, I can't." He continues his pragmatic lecture. "Our mission isn't to save hunters in peril. It's to identify and eliminate any new corrosion rifts that have appeared. Plus, when you're doing this kind of work, you can't expect everyone to come out alive." The female hunter decides to challenge his logic. "Yukins, let me ask you something. What if you were in that situation?" Yukins responds with a simple, "What?" She presses him. "Wouldn't you feel it was unfair, feel resentful, and beg to be saved?" Yukins concedes the point. "Naturally." Before turning her question back on her. "So naturally, I should feel compassion and go save them." His expression darkens intensely as he clarifies his stance. "I'm not saying this because I don't understand the emotions people would feel. I'm talking about the outcome." A grim memory flashes in his mind, showing the haunted face of a battle-worn older man. Yukins' voice explains. "In this world, some deaths are unavoidable." The memory becomes more horrific, showing a person being incinerated alive. When you face a death like that, no matter what you think or what you feel, you die. Back in the present, a cynical smile plays on his lips as he gives his advice. So, don't be swayed by a desperate situation. As night falls on a remote building, Yukins concludes his harsh lesson on survival. You can't survive in a world like this with that kind of mindset. Later, the team prepares to rest for the night. Yukins steps out of the building they'd decided to use as a temporary base. He reports back to his teammates. The building is fine and there are no traces of other corrupted beings. Ji lets out a sigh of relief. That's a relief. Yukins asks Ji, who is on watch. Can you see anything? Ji replies. It's dark, so nothing special. Yukins gazes out into the darkness, noticing several small points of light scattered across the landscape. The good thing is, thanks to the lights, I can see the other hunters' locations. However, he knows this is a fatal mistake. He thinks to himself. Using lights is dangerous since it reveals your location. He recalls the powerful mid-boss. If there were just small fries, it wouldn't matter if your position was revealed. But if another one of those things shows up, despite his earlier words, Yukins decides to offer some help. He pulls out his phone, thinking, I'll at least send a warning message. He types a message to all hunters warning them that the rift is now grade 3 and advising them to stop using lights. Having sent the message, Yukins seems to formulate a new plan beginning with a question. So he asks his teammates for crucial information. If you destroy the core of the corrosion rift, all the corrupted beings will disappear. The female hunter confirms his theory. Yes, without the energy radiating from the corrosion rift, the corrupted zone will vanish. Upon hearing this, Yukins processes the new information. A slight smile forms as he thinks. What? Then this is simple. His path forward is now clear, his objective singular. I'll just have to destroy the corrosion rift. Back at the safe house, the female hunter rests against a wall, exhausted from the day's events. Kim Ji is also fast asleep, finally getting some much-needed rest. Before leaving, Yukins quietly places a small button-like device on the floor near them. As he heads out alone into the night, he thinks. He said that device would sound an alarm if a monster approaches. So, I should be able to let them rest and come back without worrying. Right. Under the cover of darkness, Yukins begins his solo journey towards the heart of the danger. He runs through the woods, confident in his plan. It's a good thing I confirmed the location of the Alpha Corrosion Rift during the briefing. With determination burning in his eyes, Yukins races forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges await him on this dangerous island. The weight of his past experience, and the power of the Paradox Flame fuel his resolve as he moves deeper into the darkness, knowing that the fate of everyone on this island may rest on his shoulders.